Welcome to Scone, Bake, and Beyond. Hi, I'm Kathy, and I enjoy making scones, muffins, cookies, and all sorts of delicious baked goodies. One of my favorite weekend treats is to have waffles with bacon. So today, I'm going to share with you my recipe for waffle macarons. These delicious macarons are filled with a maple bacon buttercream. If your family loves waffles and bacon, they're going to love these waffle macarons. So, let's bake. When making macarons, it's important that we measure by weight rather than by volume. So let's get started. In this medium bowl, I'm going to add 150 grams of powdered sugar and 124 grams of almond flour. We're going to whisk these together. Now that we whisk this together, we want to put it through a sieve because we don't want any clumps. Once you get down to just a few little lumps, you can push it through with a spoon, and if you get down to just a few little lumps, don't worry about it. Those can be discarded. We're going to move this aside. For our waffle macarons, I am using brown sugar because it brings this wonderful depth of flavor to our macarons. But brown sugar crystals are a little bit large, and I want to get them a little bit smaller so that when I add them to the meringue, the beaten egg whites, I don't want the large sugar crystals to break up all those bubbles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to we have 66 grams of brown sugar, and I'm going to put it in my food processor. And I'm going to give it 10 pulses. Okay, so that was 10 pulses. So now to make sure we don't have any large clumps or large pieces, I'm also going to put the brown sugar through a sieve and make sure we just have the smallest pieces we can out of our sugar. When making macarons, it's best to use a stainless steel bowl, a glass bowl, or a copper bowl, but don't use a plastic bowl. So let's get started. I have here 100 grams of egg whites, and they are at room temperature, and that's important that they're at room temperature. I have here a whisk attachment. We're going to whisk this on high until it gets frothy. I'll show you what that looks like when we get there. Okay, now that it's frothy, we're going to add our cream of tartar. And I'm going to add it after I stop this. I've tried adding it while it's still going and just seems to fling it all over the mixing bowl. So I just drop it right in the middle there. And then I'm going to start this on low until that cream of tartar gets somewhat incorporated. And then I'm going to turn it up to high until we get what we call trails and the bubbles get really fine. Okay, the bubbles got really fine. We now have trails. So now we're going to start adding the brown sugar just real slowly, about 1 scoop at a time. Okay, now that all the brown sugar has been incorporated, you'll find some that is along the edges of the bowl. So I'm just going to scrape that brown sugar down because we do want to get that mixed in also. So now we're going to put this back on high speed until we get stiff peaks. With the brown sugar, this usually takes a little bit longer than it does for caster sugar. Let's see if we have stiff peaks. Take the bowl out, take my whisk out. We'll give it a little whisk. There, that's a stiff peak. And I can turn this upside down and nothing is coming out. But see how it doesn't limp over? So now it's time to add our almond flour powdered sugar mixture to our egg white mixture. And we're just going to add it in thirds. So we'll put about a third of it in here. And now we're just going to fold this in because we don't want to break all those air bubbles we just made. So we're just going to fold this in until this is incorporated, and then we'll add the next third. We fold it in, we go around the bottom, up and over, give the bowl a turn, up and over. So what we're looking for is making that figure eight, and see how it just kind of flows off? And also the other thing is that it settles into itself, and it takes a few seconds, about 10 seconds to settle into itself, and that's what we're looking for. So because these are going to be waffle macarons, well, we need that waffle look on top. So I'm going to take 1/3 cup of this batter, and I'm going to put it in a 12-inch piping bag. Now I have a number 3 tip on here, and what I did was I just took a little twisty tie and closed off the top here, because I don't want this batter to start drying out while I pipe the rest of the macarons. But I do want to set some aside so I can make that wonderful waffle top on top. So we're going to take our, and it's just about 1/3 cup. It doesn't have to be exact, but put in here about 1/3 cup. There, that looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to get this down to the bottom here, squeegee it down there. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie this part up and put a twisty tie around this, and we're going to set this aside. And this is going to be the top of our macarons. So here I have a 16-inch piping bag with a number 1A tip, so it's about a 1/2 inch in diameter tip. And what you want to do is you want to put this into a glass or a cup or something, but you want this tip to go up, because otherwise this will just start oozing right on out of that tip. So make sure to fold that tip up. So now we're going to put our batter into this 16-inch piping bag. I have a baking sheet here, and I have made a template, and these circles are 1.5 inch in diameter, and they're 2 inches apart, and I just printed them out from my computer and then taped them up, and that's my template. So you can just make your own template, and I'm using a piece of parchment paper on top. And now we're going to pipe our macarons. Press, stop, give it a little twist. Press, stop, give it a little twist. Okay, now that we piped them all, you want to take your template out of here. And we're going to pound it, and we're going to give it about 4 pounds, and that's to get the air bubbles out. Give it a turn and give it 4 more. And if you see any big air bubbles, be sure to poke them. Make sure you pop them. And once we get all the air bubbles out, if they haven't quite settled and you still have a few little peaks, like this one still has a little peak on it, just put your finger in some water, just kind of wipe it off a little bit, and just press down that peak. So we're going to let these dry for 15 minutes, and then we're going to put that little waffle design on top of them. It's been 15 minutes, and these are starting to dry out, so it's time to put the top on. So get that crosshatch, that waffle look. I'm trying to untie this at the same time, and I was going the wrong direction. Anyway, there, we're going to untie now our 12-inch piping bag that has like about 1/3 of a cup of the batter in it, and we're going to use that now to make the crosshatches. So this is a number 3 tip. What you want to do is you want to go across. I usually do 4 across. I should say 4 up and down. Here we go. And then 4 across. So 4 what we call vertical lines, up and down, and then 4 across or horizontal lines. So this gives it all that wonderful waffle look to them. We're going to let these dry for about another 30 to 45 minutes until they're totally dry. The reason why I wait 15 minutes is because those macaron shells need to dry a little bit before I start putting this little crosshatch on there. Otherwise, it'll just kind of soak right into it and you won't have it. So we'd let them dry up a little bit, do the crosshatch. And now we're going to let them dry completely. When they're completely dry and you can touch them, and they're dry to the touch, it'll be time to bake them. We're going to bake them at 320 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. So our macarons have finished baking, and I have paired them up so that they're matching, and one side goes down and one side goes up. So they're there, they're baked, they're cooled down. It's time to get on with that maple bacon buttercream. So first of all, we're going to start with 100 grams of room temperature butter. And to that, I'm going to add whatever bacon fat I got. And you're saying, bacon? Where'd the bacon come in? So what I did was I fried up one piece of bacon and I chopped it up really fine, and then I reserved whatever bacon fat came out of it, and I'm going to add that into the butter. It should be 2 teaspoons or less. We're going to beat this on medium-high speed for about 3 to 5 minutes till it's nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, it's been 3 minutes. Our butter is nice, light, and fluffy. So I'm going to add the powdered sugar. That's 200 grams of powdered sugar. We're going to add it in 2 stages. We're going to put half of it in, beat it for 5 minutes on high speed, put the second half or the rest of it in, and beat it for 5 minutes. Always start on low, otherwise you'll have powdered sugar everywhere. And once that powdered sugar starts getting mixed in, you can keep on bumping up the speed until it's truly in there, combined. You're not going to be flying it everywhere, and then bump it up to high speed. Okay, that's the end of our first 5 minutes. I'm going to scrape down the sides, and now we're going to put in our second addition, or the rest of our powdered sugar. Okay, it's been another 5 minutes. This is well beaten. So we're going to scrape down our sides here. So we're going to add the maple syrup. And this is pure maple syrup. Use real pure maple syrup when you make this. There is 2 tablespoons in this little bowl, but we may not need both tablespoons. So I'm just going to put in 1 tablespoon at a time. There. Then I'm going to beat it on high for about a minute. See what the texture is. Right now it's pretty thick, but I don't want to get really runny thin. So I'm just going to kind of watch to see what our texture is like now. So I'm going to beat this on high speed for about a minute. Okay, it's been a minute. It's still kind of thick. Bring it up here. It's still pretty thick. So I want it a little bit thinner than that. So I'm going to add the other tablespoon in. But first, we're going to scrape down the sides. Clean off my spatula here. So we'll put in the other tablespoon. There we go. We're going to put this on high for 1 more minute. Okay, it's been another minute and it is well incorporated. So we'll take off our beater here and get everything cleaned off of that. It smells so good. So this is what it looks like. That smells good. That wonderful maple flavor. So we'll get all this in our bag. This is a 12-inch piping bag with a number 12 tip to it. There we go. And what you want to do is you just want to twist the top. And to kind of keep it from flowing out that way, you twist the top and roll it over your finger. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this buttercream on each one of these macarons, just like that. So I'm going to pipe some buttercream on every macaron here. So here's my 1 piece of bacon that I fried up and chopped really fine. And we're going to add it onto each one of these. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the top and just kind of put on the bottom and just kind of squish it down a little bit till the buttercream comes out to the edges. And we're going to do that to all of these. There's our last one. Now we need to put these in the refrigerator overnight for about 24 hours so that the shells absorb the flavor out of the buttercream and the buttercream sets up. But I don't think I'm going to wait a whole day to try one. So we're going to try one now. And here we have, aren't these cute? They look like little round waffles, and they smell so good with that, the bacon and the maple syrup. So it's time to try it. But I will tell you, tomorrow they will taste even better after they have time to set up and absorb that flavor. But they're going to be good anyway. The shells are nice and crisp on the outside, and they just kind of melt in your mouth on the inside. That maple syrup and that, they do taste like waffles with bacon. They taste so good. For the complete recipe, please go to my website, sconebaking.com, and there is a link below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for future videos. I hope this recipe inspires you to bake. Thank you for watching.